These slides show the things Sherri loved to do, the things she loved, and what was most important to her God, her family, and her friends. Everyone knew Sherri Luett for her basketball skills, but that was just only one part of her life. Sherri was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1980, and Jim Duncan said many fans called her the best guard ever to play in the state of Iowa. Sherri became my best friend 38 years ago. Here's a picture of after she had received her Hall of Fame trophy. Sherri loved children, and this was her nephew, Michael Ostrander. We are sitting before a wedding before it was ready to begin. Sherri and I had met earlier in 1977, and here's our 1980 engagement picture. Here is Sherri's shower with her niece, Sybil. And that big day, May 23rd, 1981, at St. Paul Lutheran in Ames. Sherri was a beautiful bride. It was a fun day for all. And here is Derek DeBell, the ring bearer, and Sybil Luett, the flower girl. Shortly thereafter came our first son, Brian Matthew Timm. Sherri was a natural mom and loved taking care of Brian. One happy mother. Brian was baptized at St. Paul Lutheran in Ames. Less than 2 years later came our first daughter, Michelle. The family was starting to grow. Here's a sweet picture of Brian, Michelle, and her cousins Sybil and Nicole. After moving from Iowa State in Ames, we moved to Perry and lived on the house at 1404 Park Street. Sherri had quite the talent for taking care and planting flowers. Then 2 years later came our second son, Kevin Allen Timm. Big brother Brian and Michelle really liked the new baby. This picture is on baptism day. With 3 children, it was tough to get away, but here is at the time where Randy and Sherri got to travel and have some time together. Here's our home in Perry, where we've lived for 30 years, and this was Brian's 5th birthday. Well, if 3 kids weren't enough in 6 years, came our second daughter in June of 1987, Julie Ann. This picture was taken at Ledges State Park when Julie Ann was only 1 week old. 6 years of marriage and already 4 children. Here is Julie on baptism day in June of 1987. Here's Sherri with my sister Mary Ellen at a family outing in Thornton, Iowa. A fun day at Adventureland and a fun day at Luann's wedding. I was so blessed to marry such a beautiful woman. She wasn't just beautiful. She had a sense of humor, too. We needed more money to raise the family, so in 1988, Randy joined on a part-time basis the Iowa National Guard. In March of 1988, Sherri made an 8-hour drive with 4 children under 6 years old to come to my graduation in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. We went to visit in St. Louis. This would have been Brian's 6th birthday. We like to take trips to see our family up in Clear Lake. We didn't have a lot, but as you can see here, 4 kids in a radio flyer wagon. This is in 1988 when I returned from the National Guard and had a party at my father's house in Thornton, Iowa. In our house here in Perry, where we've lived since 1985. This is our nephew here, and you can see how Sherri always liked to teach children. More fun at Adventureland. An open house in Perry with the Weekend Warrior. Now, Sherri was always good about having the best Christmas pictures that she would send out to the relatives. Sherri loved children and teaching, and this was at Christ Lutheran Church in Boughton, the Christmas program, and Sherri was always in charge of directing the children. And here are the 4 children for the program. We like to travel. This was a trip up to Minneapolis. We also had fun on vacations riding horses. And here we saw Mount Rushmore. Sherri never really did like to have her picture taken. It was being kind of silly. But the kids helped too. Here's Grandpa Timm playing with Kevin. Now, Sherri always had a plan. She planned our whole acreage and planted over 600 trees, and these were planted here in 1993, the year of the flood. Now these evergreen trees are over 60 to 70 foot tall, all because of Sherri's plan. This was on I-80 by the Quad Cities, before we got to Chicago to visit the Sears Tower. Having kids in programs was a fun part of Sherri's life. Here at Living History Farms, they had an alumni game at Perry against some of the Iowa State players. And one of the guards took a shot, and the great rejecter Sherri blocked the shot of an Iowa State men's basketball player. With 4 kids, you can get a lot of help here splitting peas on our countertop. A great trip to Washington, D.C. Sherri was one always to coordinate our outfits here at Bethel Church for our picture for the church album. We went on many vacations together. Homeschooling was a big part of Sherri's life, and it was probably one of the most important things. She would work and lay out the lesson plans 180 days for the whole year and put them in books for the children to work through. And our children learned so much all together by Sherri as a family. Now, with my company, we got to go on several different trips. These are the 4 children in 2006 and Sherri in 2007. Brian and Kevin in Arizona. Sherri loves family events and entertaining, and she was very detail-oriented on how things had to be presented on her table. This is 2011 for our 30th anniversary. Our son Kevin was married in 2011. Sherri is so proud of all of her children. We have our daughter Julie Timm, and now the new bride in the middle is Kevin's Julie Timm. So we have 2 Julies in our family. The old man enjoying a dance with his beautiful wife. A beautiful picture of a Rolls Royce, but more beautiful is Sherri and all that she stood for. I said she didn't like having her picture taken. She didn't see us take the picture here. Sherri enjoyed life and her family. This was taken before we attended one of the Brokers International Christmas parties. On September 15th, we were blessed with our daughter, Michelle, being married to Chris Stockman. The wedding was at Michelle's house, and the weather on September 15th, my birthday, could not have been better. What a beautiful day. One lucky man. Now, Sherri could shake it with the best of them, dancing here with our son Brian. And boy, did they have fun bumping on the dance floor. For all the holidays, Sherri would prepare a beautiful table with all the detail put into it. Her Christmas cookies were put on the plates with exact precision because that is the way, and she took great pride in everything that she presented for her family. She was a tremendous cook and presenter of all the beautiful things at the holidays. Attention to detail was her middle name. Here's a fun picture of our 2 daughters, Michelle and Julie. Pictures of Brian and Randy at a restaurant in Fort Lauderdale. Then came our granddaughter, Emily, and Julie and Emily are great friends. And here's our son-in-law, Chris Stockman, Emily, and Michelle. Sherri started her battle with cancer in February of 2014, and in order to travel and go to the doctors, we purchased a Winnebago motorhome. Over the last 19 months, we have traveled over 50,000 miles through 15 states and have lived in 4 different states trying to find medical treatment to take care of Sherri's cancer. Here we were in Las Vegas by the Hoover Dam taking a helicopter ride in December of 2014. Here we are a week before Christmas on a ski slope by Las Vegas. And this was Sherri's birthday at Bonefish in Las Vegas in March of 2015. We lived in Las Vegas from December 1st through June 1st, getting Sherri medical care at 3 different doctors. Here's a picture of us on the weekend in Red Rock Canyon in Las Vegas. And here is our fun day on the day before our anniversary, May 22nd, 2015, at the Stratosphere in Las Vegas. Now, over the last 19 months, Coco, our little dog, who's a Jack Russell and a pug, has traveled with us in our camper everywhere that we have went. We thought we had the cancer pretty well taken care of and went for a vacation in California in June. We then visited our first doctor in Santa Rosa, California in June of 2015 and had this picture taken at Bodega Bay on the Pacific Ocean. Here's a fun picture of our son Kevin and his wife Julie. It was so important for Sherri to come home for Brian's baby that was going to be born on June 29th. Here was the weekend before, spending time with Kevin in West Des Moines at the yogurt shop with Sherri. At this time, Sherri was starting to lose a little use of her left arm, and we had a doctor's appointments scheduled to find out what the problem was. On June 29th, just like clockwork, our first grandson, Gannon Timm, was born to Brian and Beth. Sherri loved being a grandma. Here we're at the hospital in Omaha with Gannon Timm. Here's a picture of Brian, Brendan, Beth, and the new grandson, Gannon. Gannon really likes to smile in his pictures. And here's the Green Bay Packers fan, Chris, Emily, and her daughter, Michelle. This picture was taken in August of 2015 with Grandma holding Emily at our daughter's house in Madison, Wisconsin. It was very hard to load Sherri in our first RV. So in August, my son, Brian, drove all the way to San Antonio, and we purchased a second RV, as you see here, another Winnebago. This one was totally handicap accessible to allow Sherri to go to the doctor every day. Brian's family flew up to Madison on the weekends to see us while we were doctoring in Milwaukee. Sherri went into intensive care in Milwaukee on August 29th, 2015. We stayed there for 5 days, but it was Sherri's goal to come home to Perry. So on September 3rd of 2015, Sherri was air ambulance via a jet from Milwaukee to Perry to spend her final time at Perry. We arrived on Thursday, and that Sunday, Sherri was awake and alert and wanted to have a party. Here we had our party that Sherri organized at the gazebo at the Dallas County Hospital in Perry, Iowa. It was a fun day for all. Our daughter Julie and her boyfriend Keith being kind of silly. 1 week later, on September 13th for my birthday, we were presented with this beautiful cake, Happy Birthday Dad, that showed our Winnebago, Sherri, me, and Coco. It brought tears to my eyes and to Sherri's eyes. But what a nice weekend we had in Perry. We were also presented with this family picture that showed all the good times we had. Sherri has been my best friend for 38 years, my wife for 34 years, and this picture was taken at the Stratosphere. She loved her God, she loved her family, she loved her friends. She was passionate in everything that she did. On a beautiful Sunday morning, on September 20th, 2015, Sherri went home to be with our Lord. She passed so peacefully, and we just treasure each moment we have with her as she smiles and looks down on us.